A woman's body suddenly turns up in the sewer. Detective Park Moo-kyung rushes to the scene. No one knows who the dead woman is. Her fingerprints have been completely wiped away, half of her face is torn apart, the only mark left is a faint tattoo on her foot. Right beside the body, there is a super luxury bag worth over 100 million. Other than that, there are no more clues at all. Moo-kyung is very confused. The killer worked so carefully, so why would they leave a bag behind? Full of questions, he heads to the brand store. Luckily, there is a code on the inside of the bag. They quickly find out who ordered it, the general manager of a cosmetics brand, Yeo-jin. The morgue is freezing cold. The moment Yeo-jin looks at the body, all the color drains from her face. It is Sarah. Moo-kyung gives her 10 minutes to calm herself down. A short while later, Yeo-jin walks out of the morgue, her eyes filled with panic. Moo-kyung softly asks, "What is the dead woman to you?" Yeo-jin's voice trembles. It was Christmas night 5 years ago. She was buying a bag at the brand store when a woman dragging a suitcase walked in. She had a wild and careless air about her. How should I describe her? A little rude, like she was treating a luxury store like a street stall, casually touching bags worth over 100 million and taking pictures. The staff hurried over to stop her. Her response was rough but full of confidence. "Every bag I touched just now. I'll take all of them." What happened next was even more shocking. After the clerk finished counting everything and gave the total, the woman actually pulled open the suitcase she brought with her. It was packed full of cash. The money counting machine started clicking non-stop. That sound went on for a full 2 or 3 minutes, making Yeo-jin remember that woman right away. More than half a year passed. The bag Yeo-jin ordered finally arrived. She was full of excitement at first, but then she accidentally noticed another bag. It looked even more delicate than the one she ordered, even more luxurious. She asked if she could try holding it, but the clerk turned her down with a smile, because that one was a top custom-made piece. Yeo-jin then asked without thinking, "Was it ordered by Kim Sarah?" The clerk said nothing. In fact, during those 6 months, the name Sarah was like the wind, drifting into her ears from time to time. One of her friends said Sarah was the Asia president of Boudoir. For nearly 100 years, this brand had been making custom goods for European royal families, selling only to the richest top 0.1%. Now it was getting ready to enter the Asian market. Before the woman could even finish speaking, Yeo-jin saw someone in the distance. It was the owner of March department store sitting there. She quickly fixed her expression and walked over with her newly bought bag to say hello, but after the woman glanced at the bag in her hand, she clearly had no interest in talking to her. That look said it all. "You and I are not in the same class at all." Yeo-jin was furious. That bag had cost her a full 3 months of salary. By pure chance, the person who bumped into her was Kim Sarah. Yeo-jin quickly apologized, but Sarah did not care at all. She gave a light smile, then lifted her hand and emptied out her own bag. It was the exact custom-made bag Yeo-jin wanted but could never buy. Then Sarah crouched down. While putting Yeo-jin's things into her own bag, she said, "This bag is for you. Take it as my apology." Yeo-jin froze on the spot, like she had been hit with a spell. Her mind went completely blank. By the time she came back to her senses, she was already standing out in the wind. Then she heard Kim Sarah ask, "Do you want to go have a drink together?" Yeo-jin had no reason to say no. She had already heard too many stories about Kim Sarah lately. A Korean American who graduated from Oxford, who came back home with a top luxury brand to start her career. She was basically the perfect version of who Yeo-jin wanted to be. Not long after that, the two of them moved in together. Moo-kyung could not help asking, "When you became friends with her, it was not just about friendship, was it?" Yeo-jin did not deny it. The boudoir brand in Sarah's hands was a huge prize. Everyone in the fashion world wanted a piece of it. Even the owner of March department store had her eyes on it. Luckily, Yeo-jin had the advantage of being close to Sarah and secured the skincare collaboration rights first. Not long after, boudoir really did explode in popularity. Celebrities and influencers all rushed toward it. Hot searches flooded the top rankings. The profit share from the first month alone reached 1.5 billion. But right at that critical moment, Kim Sarah suddenly disappeared. Moo-kyung quickly asked, "Did she scam you?" Yeo-jin gave no answer. Moo-kyung looked back at the footage. The more he watched, the stranger it felt. That platinum bag was incredibly valuable. Yet Yeo-jin casually left it on the floor like she did not care at all. He checked the morgue footage again and found that Yeo-jin actually leaned in and kissed Sarah's body. That was way too abnormal. Moo-kyung quickly pulled up Yeo-jin's records. Just as expected, someone had once reported Kim Sarah for fraud. The detective in charge of that case said this case was really strange. Yeo-jin hired gangsters and had them beat up Kim Sarah, but the problem was the woman those gangsters attacked was named Mi-jong, just a very ordinary luxury store clerk. But Yeo-jin kept insisting that woman was Kim Sarah. Then Moo-kyung suddenly remembered. He felt like he had seen that girl before. One day, she was sitting outside the police station crying. It looked like one of her legs had been broken. He felt sorry for her, so he handed her a handkerchief. The girl wiped her tears and stood up, but she was holding her crutch the wrong way. Turns out her leg was never broken at all. Moo-kyung's heart tightened. he rushed back to the office. The moment he walked in, his assistant Ah Hyun handed him a report. The foreign affairs team had just replied, saying that Kim Sara did not exist at all. Early the next morning, Ah Hyun followed Moo Kyung's orders and went to the prison to visit the thug who beat up Mi Jong. This man told a story completely different from Yeo Jin's. It started about 3 months earlier when Yeo Jin suddenly came to see him. The first thing she asked in anger was, "Can you people take a job to kill someone?" Sang-pil did not want to bother with her at first, but the moment he heard the debt was as high as 15 billion, he became interested right away and soon found the person who owed the money. That girl actually looked pretty kind. When she saw a poor beggar on the street, she gave away her gloves and scarf. Sang-pil had not planned to use violence at first, but that girl was far from innocent. After tricking Yeo Jin out of 15 billion in investment, she went crazy. Spending money on hype ads and celebrity deals, every last bit of the money was gone. Sang-pil thought there was no way he would ever get that money back, but Mi Jong said she could repay it with bags, so he followed her to the boudoir flagship store. But who knew Mi Jong was that cunning? The moment she walked in, she hit the alarm. The heavy iron doors slammed down at once, locking him and all his men inside. Sang-pil completely lost it, grabbed Mi Jong and punched her several times, but he had fallen right into her trap. In less than 5 minutes, security would arrive. The cameras were probably broadcasting everything live. "Please spare me. I am sorry, please, I am begging you." Ah Hyun asked curiously, "Then what about Yeo Jin?" Sang-pil started cursing right away. In the debt collection contract, it only said to collect the money, it never told him to use violence, so Yeo Jin cleared herself completely, but he did find out one thing on Yeo Jin's contract. The name written there was Kim Sara, and that girl named Mi Jong had once worked under Kim Sara. In other words, Sara had taken Mi Jong's identity. After hearing that, Ah Hyun returned to the station and repeated Sang-pil's story, but there was one thing he could not figure out. Since Kim Sara had already gotten the money, why did she not run away? Moo Kyung looked into it and found that the boudoir brand had already started building hype 5 years ago. Even now, it still had not collapsed, which meant the scam was not over at all. Ah Hyun checked the police internal records and found that the girl named Mi Jong was now working as a scalper in the luxury goods district. He pretended to be a worker and got close to Mi Jong. When she heard Ah Hyun wanted to buy a boudoir bag, Mi Jong quietly muttered, "You cannot buy one." Ah Hyun immediately asked, "What do you mean by that?" Mi Jong said she used to work at boudoir. Kim Sara was the one who brought her over, but before that, she had worked at another brand store. Sara had once been one of her big clients. That woman was seriously rich, buying things in the mall every single day like she wanted to buy the whole place. That day she was really unlucky. There was a hole in her stocking. The moment Sara saw it, she got up and left. She thought she had offended a major client, but who would have thought not long after, Sara had someone deliver her a brand new pair of stockings with a business card tucked inside, asking if she wanted to work at boudoir. To her, this was a gift from heaven. Because boudoir had already made a name for itself by then, if she joined, she would be one of the first insiders, so she quickly chose to switch jobs. On the first day the flagship store opened, she welcomed a huge client, the big boss of March department store, Cha Hae-sung. Sara stayed calm and composed. She spoke with perfect manners, confident but never arrogant. At first, the whole reception went smoothly, but then something unexpected happened. "Where is the restroom? Get me something to wipe this off. Everyone please step outside." Mi Jong was pushed outside. At first, she did not think much of it, but while cleaning out the storage locker, she found a cigarette that was enough to make someone throw up. After that incident, Cha Hae-sung became even more impressed with Sara. She swept up almost every custom piece boudoir had. Hearing this, Ah Hyun could not help cutting in. "Then you must have been making a lot of money. So why did you end up scalping goods?" Mi Jong said bitterly. "Because Kim Sara used me. Boudoir never really served ordinary customers at all. My job was to drive away the people waiting in line, and I could not even get close to the big clients, so how was I supposed to earn any commission? But the more it was like that, the more people wanted to buy. Back then, even a very ordinary custom boudoir bag, if you could get it at counter price, you could resell it for 3 times more. These days, who does not want to get rich? Scalpers came flying in like moths to a flame. The lines kept getting longer and longer. Kim Sara kept raising the prices, making it obvious she did not want to sell to ordinary people, but the more she acted like that, the crazier the stars and influencers became, because if they could get a boudoir bag, people in the world of fame and money would look at them differently. But then another surprise came. That day, she went to a flea market to buy something and accidentally saw a huge number of fake boudoir bags. That part was not strange. Every luxury brand has fake copies. But the strange part was in that flea market, there was actually an unreleased new design. That design had not even been announced yet. Mi Jong felt something was off, so she bought one and took it back. Originally, she wanted to use it to earn praise from Sara, but Sara did not care at all. As time went on, Mi Jong started to feel more and more that Sara was strange. The way she talked and acted was nothing like someone who had studied abroad. If anything, she seemed more like someone from the countryside. Ah Hyun could not help asking, "Do you have any proof for saying that, Mi-jong?" That question suddenly woke up Mi-jong's best friend who had been sleeping nearby. It even scared Mi-jong herself. Because she had never told anyone her name. "How do you know my name? I never told you." Meanwhile, Moo-kyung set his sights on a female celebrity. This woman had once promoted boudoir. The moment she opened her mouth, she said it directly. On the day of boudoir's press event, something huge happened. Looking at the video, Moo-kyung asked, "Was the troublemaker Mi-jong?" The actress said yes. She heard from people at the brand that this girl used to work for boudoir. She got fired for secretly selling customer information. The fashion world is very small. Once you get stained by something like that, there is no way you can find a job again. Maybe she felt angry, so she and her friends ruined the press event and made a total mess of it. Moo-kyung immediately told his coworker to track Mi-jong's phone location. The address came in very quickly. He rushed over right away, but then he ran into someone he knew. After Moo-kyung explained why he came, shock spread across the two girls' faces, their eyes full of disbelief. Moo-kyung remembered one of the women, Dahae. She was the one who found Kim Sara's body. Dahae looked completely confused. The female body in the sewer is Kim Sara. Moo-kyung tried to bluff them a little, saying he would arrest them both on the spot. Mi-jong quickly waved her hands, saying the two of them had evidence to prove they had nothing to do with the murder case. After boudoir became hugely popular, the two of them started an account together, hoping to film custom pieces and draw attention so they could become influencers. But during their very first shoot, they were caught by Kim Sara. Mi-jong broke out in a cold sweat right away. Luckily, Sara did not say anything. After Mi-jong left, she told Dahae to quickly take off the fake necklace, so her boss would not notice. Dahae got a little angry after hearing that, because the last time someone noticed she was wearing a fake item, this piece was something she had finally saved up enough money to buy. Early the next morning, Mi-jong was fired, left without a job. She could only go back to the March department store and beg the manager to give her one more chance, but to her total surprise, the manager said, "You secretly sold customer information, don't even think about working in this industry again." Mi-jong suddenly remembered that 2 days earlier when she came out of Sara's office, she ran into a manager from an insurance company. It was obvious Kim Sara had not only fired her, she had completely driven her out of the fashion world. Even worse, that same night, Dahae was fired too. The more the two of them thought about it, the angrier they got, so they decided to start digging into Sara. They found out that every year when the season changed, Sara would burn boudoir's stock just to create the illusion of extreme scarcity, that caused serious damage to the environment. Moo-kyung looked through his notes all night, but he did not find much real evidence. Still, there was one thing that was absolutely clear: when it came to the boudoir brand, Sara truly loved it down to her bones, in a way that felt both obsessive and intense. Early the next morning, Moo-kyung took his team to boudoir's flagship store. Everything in the store looked normal, but the staff said Sara had not been there for a long time. Her office had been cleaned out completely. They found almost nothing. Ah Hyun frowned deeply. There was one question stuck in his mind. The body was dumped on the luxury street in Cheongdam-dong. That whole street has dozens of cameras, yet not a single one caught the killer. How is that even possible? Could the killer turn invisible? Moo-kyung spread out the map, his finger sliding across the luxury street in Cheongdam-dong. There was only one place that could avoid the cameras: the sewer. The two of them immediately returned to the crime scene. They opened the sewer cover. A sharp rotten stench hit them in the face, so strong it almost made them pass out. Ah Hyun suggested waiting 2 more days and said he could order an oxygen tank online. Moo-kyung said, "Move aside. If you are not going down, then I will." Moo-kyung froze in awkward silence, stuck in a tough spot. In the end, he had no choice but to put on the gas mask and climb down the ladder. The sewer was dark and damp, though the space was actually pretty wide. It stretched in every direction with side paths crossing all over the place like a tangled net. Dahae suddenly remembered, she really had seen Kim Sara before. It was at the staff discount shopping event at the March department store. That suddenly reminded Mi-jong of something. A sealed memory was ripped open in an instant. The blurry pieces slowly started becoming clear. Mok Ga-hui, a sales clerk at the March department store. 5 years ago, Mi-jong, Dahae and Ga-hui all worked at that department store. Every month, they held a staff shopping event, so they could clear out the stock they could not sell and make one more round of money from their own employees. During one of those shopping events, Mi-jong and Dahae were standing in line when a woman in a hat suddenly appeared. The brim was pulled down very low, almost covering her whole face. Dahae and her friends were holding up their phones and taking pictures. They accidentally captured her in the shot. Ga-hui went completely crazy, rushing over to grab the phone and delete the photo. While they were struggling, she even snapped the necklace around Dahae's neck. Dahae stood there frozen and could not come back to her senses for a long time. It was because of that incident that she saved up and bought a real necklace. The two of them quickly found a photo of Ga-hui and sent it to Ah Hyun. Ah Hyun looked down and saw a tattoo on Ga-hui's ankle. exactly the same as the one on the unidentified female corpse. The victim's identity was now almost certain. It was Mok Jae-hui. At the same time, Moo Kyung kept moving upward through the sewer. He discovered that it was actually connected to the March department store. He immediately called Ah Hyun. After hearing Ah Hyun's report, the number of suspects suddenly grew. Yeojin, Sangpil, Mi-jong and Dahai. Any one of them could be the killer. After changing his clothes, Moo Kyung tried to arrange a meeting with the owner of the department store, but Cha Haesung was a real chaebol. She acted extremely high and mighty, letting her assistant speak for her the whole time without even showing her face once. But she did reveal one useful piece of information. Before Kim Sarah disappeared, she had already signed an agreement to bring boudoir into the department store, but before it could be carried out, she vanished. Ah Hyun asked to check the security footage. They immediately showed them the door. The two returned to the police station and looked into Mok Jae-hui, only to find that she had already been wanted 5 years ago. The charge was fraud. Moo Kyung drove to the neighboring district to ask about Mok Jae-hui's case. The detective in charge looked a little impatient, because that case had been closed a long time ago. Back then, Mok Jae-hui was dealing in second-hand luxury goods. For some reason, she suddenly ran off with the money. They followed the trail all the way. By the time they found her, Mok Jae-hui had already killed herself. Moo Kyung cut in right away. Mok Jae-hui already died 5 years ago. Then the body was preserved perfectly for 5 years. That cannot be possible. The detective did not understand what he meant. Mok Jae-hui jumped into a river and killed herself. She even left a suicide note at her home. Ah Hyun quickly asked, "Did you find the body?" The detective shook his head. She jumped into the river on Christmas. The lake water was painfully cold. Even if she did not drown, she would have frozen to death. If she were still alive, even without using a phone or a bank card, she would still need to rent a place and live somewhere. But there was not a single trace of her, so that had to mean she was dead. After hearing that, Ah Hyun's heart sank halfway. They had only just found a little clue, and now the clue was gone again. But Moo Kyung did not see it that way. The two returned to the station. He pulled out a book and said, "This is Robert's The Cuckoo's Calling." Not long after this book was released, it was confirmed that it was actually written by J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. Because the foreword quoted something Draco Malfoy's father once said, this case also has a foreword. Ah Hyun understood right away. Mok Jae-hui's suicide note. 6 years earlier, Mok Jae-hui was full of passion. She got hired as a sales clerk at the March department store. A big department store had countless rules. Using the customer's restroom meant money would be deducted. In short, the customer was treated like heaven. Jae-hui did not care much about any of that. She truly loved luxury goods. She loved those fine patterns and the careful craft behind them. But that love could not beat the cold truth of real life. She could only look at them from far away forever. She could never have them. Not long after that, something happened. Products from Jae-hui's store were stolen. That night, she just happened to be on duty. The manager checked the security footage and found that when Jae-hui went to the restroom, someone had secretly slipped into the store and taken quite a few items. Jae-hui quickly tried to explain to the manager that she had not gone to the restroom all day, only went because she really could not hold it anymore. Because the staff restroom was very far away, she had to walk across the whole department store. She takes the service elevator down to the lowest floor, then has to walk through the warehouse to get there. If they had let customers use the restroom, none of this would have happened. The store manager looks at her with sympathy, but there is nothing she can do. Rules are rules, so all she can do is comfort Jae-hui. Just think of it as paying a huge price for a lesson. Luckily, what you lost was not the most expensive thing. It was only 50 million. Jae-hui sucks in a cold breath. 50 million. That is almost a whole year of her salary. To pay back this debt, she starts working 2 jobs. In the daytime, she flatters customers at the mall. At night, she washes dishes at a restaurant. One day while at work, she is accidentally hit by a customer's baby stroller. A long scar is left on her ankle. To cover up that scar, she lets a tattoo shop trainee practice on her and gets a line of words tattooed there. So where did things start going wrong? 3 months pass in the blink of an eye. In March, the department store holds a staff discount shopping event. In the past, Jae-hui rarely joined it, but this time, a coworker asks her for help to buy a bag. Even though Jae-hui has not been in the business long, she is very sharp when it comes to luxury prices. She spots the chance to make money right away. If she can buy at the official counter price and resell it outside at 12% above, this could really be a good business. She immediately takes out all her savings and buys an unpopular style, takes photos and uploads them, then lists it on a second-hand platform. But after waiting 3 days, no one shows any interest at all. No one even looks at her post. Jae-hui is so worried that she cannot sleep at night. Just when she is stressing over how to sell it and turn it into cash, by chance, she overhears a customer talking about buying the same bag as a celebrity. That one sentence gives Jae-hui an idea. She edits her own face onto a celebrity photo and tags her post as a must-have celebrity-style item. It draws in a lot of fans. She manages to sell the bag without any trouble. That is the moment Pandora's box is opened. Jae-hui starts borrowing money from her co-workers, even secretly takes their employee cards. At the end of every month, she goes on a crazy shopping spree, then puts everything online to resell. In just 3 short months, she pays off the 50 million debt. As she watches the business grow bigger and bigger, she boldly decides to start using leverage and goes to a loan shark to borrow a huge amount of money, hoping this business will bring her financial freedom, but reality soon slaps her hard in the face. The mall suddenly brings in a purchase limit policy. Jia Hui is completely stunned on the spot. All the money she earned before has already been used to order bags in the colors she wanted most. Now she is truly finished. She forces herself to go beg the lending company for a few more days. The manager smiles and pulls out a new contract, telling Jia Hui that she can just borrow more money to pay off the old debt. Here, take it. I am lending the money to you, then you pay it right back to me. Thank you again for using our service. From that day on, the giant wheel of interest starts spinning like crazy. In just half a year, 5 million turns into 50 million. Jia Hui cannot even pay the interest anymore. The creditors come to the store and cause a scene. Luckily, she knows the layout of the mall well and hides in the trash station to escape disaster. This matter is soon discovered by the store manager. Jia Hui is sent off to work inventory in the warehouse, even her commission taken away. While Jia Hui is opening boxes, she accidentally cuts a brand new bag. As if things were not bad enough, this one just happened to be a limited custom bag. All the feelings she had held in for so long finally exploded. Jia Hui did something she had always wanted to do but never dared to. Just like those rich and important customers, she opened a bottle of champagne, sat down in the VIP room and openly used the restroom. After finishing her last cigarette, she walked toward the bag she had wanted for so long, smashed the glass with one blow and ran out of the mall with the bag. After going home, she picked up a pen and paper, wrote down all the pain and unfairness of the past 6 months. Every word was filled with despair. After finishing the suicide note, she took a taxi to the countryside. Before Christmas arrived, she threw herself forward into the freezing cold lake. Even if I end up destroyed, I still choose a bright and blazing end. Moo Kyung gives Ah Hyun a cold look. There is something wrong with this suicide note. He has already checked it. Mock Jia Hui's bank record shows that on the day she jumped into the river, she withdrew all her savings. Why would she do that? Ah Hyun thinks that is not important. Right now, there is no way to prove that Mock Jia Hui is Kim Sarah, so what does the money movement even matter? Moo Kyung's eyes suddenly light up. He suddenly remembers what Yeo Jin said 5 years ago on Christmas. That was the first time she met Sarah. Then everything matches up. Mock Jia Hui never planned to kill herself at all. She was probably just trying to get a new identity and start life all over again. After hearing the investigation result, the boss tells Moo Kyung to stay far away from this case, because it belongs to the police station next door. If you go around saying the victim is not dead, then you are just making the other station look bad. But Moo Kyung is stubborn to the end. He firmly insists on bringing in more people and having the whole lake searched from top to bottom. He is willing to bet that they will never find a body. That very afternoon, the salvage team starts working. With nothing else to do, Moo Kyung wanders around. There just happens to be a coffee shop nearby. He orders 2 cups of coffee, then casually takes out Jia Hui's photo and asks about her. After looking at it, the owner says that he has never seen this girl before. Moo Kyung walks around for a bit, looking at the love notes all over the wall and suddenly thinks about the file Mi Jong gave him. It once mentioned the owner of March Mall and Cha Haisung's personal secretary Jang Ji-hwan. That guy seemed very close to Jia Hui. The two of them were probably a couple before. Just then, Ah Hyun suddenly calls. Something really bad has happened. Moo Kyung is completely stunned. They actually dig up a body at the bottom of the lake, which means Jia Hui really is dead. So who is Kim Sarah then? The digging goes on for a whole day. It is not until the next evening that they barely manage to piece all the bones together. The good news is that the dead person is a man, so they can confirm it is not Mock Jia Hui. The bad news is the case of the unknown woman found in the sewer is still not solved, and now there is one more case, an unknown man's body found in the riverbed. Moo Kyung feels his scalp go numb. He leads the team in a sudden raid on Jang Ji-hwan's house. The whole place is a complete mess. The glass in the dressing room is shattered. There are bloodstains at the scene that have not dried yet. In the bathroom, Ah Hyun finds a few Viagra pills, while in the bedroom, Moo Kyung discovers a broken luxury watch. The male body is not Jang Ji-hwan. Moo Kyung gets straight to the point. Do you know Kim Sarah? There are no secrets that stay hidden forever. It was me. I killed her. Moo Kyung cannot react for a moment. Jang Ji-hwan slowly begins to speak and starts telling his story. It was probably about a year ago. Back then, he was still working as a host at a nightclub. One day while working, he met a woman named Eun-jae. Moo Kyung cuts in right away. The woman I am looking into is called Kim Sarah, Ji-hwan says with annoyance. Sarah is just Eun-jae's English name. Are you going to listen or not? Ah Hyun takes the chance to ask. Are you sure that woman was not named Mock Jia Hui? Ji-hwan shakes his head. When he first met her, he was drawn in by Eun-jae's presence. For some strange reason, he stole her car key, hoping to use returning it as an excuse to get closer to her, but she never came back. It was not until the next day that he finally got a message from Eun-jae. There were only 2 words, "Save me." Ji-hwan rushed over like a madman. The moment he got there, he saw Eun-jae barefoot, wearing only her nightclothes, her face pale and her hair in a mess. He thought something serious had happened, but then she actually pulled him along to a spicy tteokbokki place. The reason Eun-jae ran away from home was unbelievably absurd. Her husband controlled her diet very strictly and would not let her eat spicy tteokbokki, so she ran away from home because of that. Ah-hyun could not help asking again, "That woman is already married?" Ji-hwan nodded again and again. Eun-jae is Hyunwoo's woman. Moo-kyung had heard Hyunwoo's name before, a well-known loan shark in the underworld whose hobby is chopping off people's fingers, but Ji-hwan was not scared at all. He kept asking Eun-jae out every few days. Eun-jae was very generous. Every time she made a move, it was a luxury watch. A few days later, during another date, Ji-hwan noticed something was off about Eun-jae. "I have seen a lot of people around me using enhancers. This on you." I could tell right away that was clearly a needle mark. "And that bruise too. It pulled my trigger." "Did he do this? That bastard actually injected you with drugs?" Ji-hwan understood in an instant. Eun-jae was not Hyunwoo's legal wife. She was very likely being controlled by enhancers. Seeing the woman he liked being treated this way, he hesitated for just a moment, then asked Eun-jae, "Do you want to get rid of Hyunwoo?" Ah-hyun could not help asking again, "You killed someone." Ji-hwan suddenly started laughing. He has one good point. Once he promises a woman something, he always follows through, but even in his wildest dreams, he never expected that such an accident would happen. Ah-hyun kept asking, "What happened next?" Ji-hwan let out a sigh. After that incident, he went into hiding for 2 months. His co-workers at the nightclub told him Hyunwoo never came for revenge at all. That was way too unusual. At first, he thought his co-workers were lying to him, but what was even stranger was Eun-jae had disappeared without a trace. Half a year passed. Ji-hwan tried going back to Seoul. Hyunwoo really did not come for revenge. He thought the whole thing was finally over, but as autumn passed and winter came, on the day the first snow fell, he received news from Eun-jae again. "Help me." When he saw the woman of his dreams again, Eun-jae had changed too much, from her personality to the way she dressed, from her aura to even her name. She had completely become a different person. This time she was even more generous, directly giving him an apartment in Gangnam. Eun-jae told him that she had already divorced Hyunwoo and had secured the agency rights for a top luxury brand. She was now getting ready to open the first flagship store, but there was one thing that Ji-hwan absolutely had to help her with. Moo-kyung reacted instantly, Cha Hae-sung. The moment that name came up, Ji-hwan suddenly became furious. Even though he was a host, he had always only sold charm, not his body, but the promise Eun-jae gave him was too tempting. As long as he helped her with this one thing, they would get married. Ji-hwan was completely stunned by this sudden happiness. A woman who graduated from Oxford and was worth billions was actually throwing herself at him. Even if there was a wall right in front of him, he decided he had to crash into that wall and give it a shot. What if he actually made it through? 3 months later, with his strong professional skills, Ji-hwan successfully won over Cha Hae-sung, then following Eun-jae's instructions. The other side used drugged cigarettes. The whole plan went smoothly. Cha Hae-sung really did throw up. Maybe to keep Eun-jae quiet, Cha Hae-sung not only bought out all of Boudoir's limited editions, but also gave Eun-jae a prime store space in the best spot of her mall. After finishing that job, Ji-hwan went to Eun-jae and asked if he could leave that woman now. "Is it your turn to decide?" Ji-hwan was stunned on the spot. Eun-jae immediately gave him a little sweetness again, but it did not warm Ji-hwan's heart at all. He did not lose his temper on the surface, but secretly started following Eun-jae. He followed her for several days in a row and finally found a chance. Eun-jae went to a slum area, under the dim lights. Ji-hwan saw many sewing machines working, so those bags worth over 100 million were actually being made there. Moo-kyung asked, "Why did you not call the police?" Ji-hwan answered with a bitter smile. At that time, Boudoir had already become a huge hit. Eun-jae's wealth, reputation and connections kept rising fast. There was no way to bring her down. Luckily, he was smart and made a call to Hyunwoo, telling him all of Eun-jae's secrets, but he truly never expected that Hyunwoo would be that ruthless. "I saw it on the news that an unidentified body had been found in the sewer. I recognized it at once. That was Eun-jae." Moo-kyung left the interrogation room and drove to Hyunwoo's house. Ah-hyun thought Hyunwoo would look fierce and terrifying, with a face full of menace, but it was the exact opposite. This famous underworld boss was actually gentle and refined. Right after that, the two of them heard from Hyunwoo a completely different story, one that sounded almost unbelievable. It was about 2 years ago when Hyunwoo was diagnosed with kidney failure and needed a transplant to stay alive. Even more unfortunate than that was that his son, wife and brothers, not one of them was willing to try a match test. Hyunwoo was completely crushed and started spending all his days in nightclubs, drinking every day to drown his sorrow. Living like a man with no one left, until that day he met Mok Jae-hui. maybe because he was too lonely and starved for love, or maybe because drunk words are true words, he actually ended up telling a club girl about his past, from how he entered the underworld to how he built his gang, to how everyone had now turned against him. Every word was full of pain. Mok Jae-hui was a very good listener. What Hyun-woo never expected even more was that when he said he needed a kidney transplant to live, "I will donate one to you. But you have to give me 500 million, you can pay me after it is done." Hyun-woo decided to give it a try. Unexpectedly, the match test was successful. But the law clearly stated that this kind of organ donation was limited to family, so to make the transplant happen smoothly, Hyun-woo and Jae-hui signed a contract. They would pretend to be married for 2 years and divorce after the surgery. Just like that, Jae-hui completely changed her life and became the Korean-American Kim Eun-jae. But she did not like this new identity because her English was terrible. Sooner or later, she would slip up. Hyun-woo answered calmly, "If those people find out your English is terrible and that you still graduated from Oxford, they will only think even more highly of you, because that would mean your family background is strong enough to stand above British law. As for what you studied overseas or what you can do, no one really cares at all. Only poor people need to prove their worth to society, rich people do not." From that day on, Jae-hui suddenly became a rich wife. She started moving through one luxury mall after another, living the shopping life she had always dreamed of. Hyun-woo stayed the same as before. Sometimes talked about the past. He said his family was very poor when he was little. His father's boss often delayed his wages. Later, he became rich too. Then his father's old boss came to borrow money. With one wave of his hand, he lent him a huge amount, so much that the man could never repay it in his life. Later, the boss died. The boss's son brought over a tree. That was the only kind thing he had ever done in his life. One tree cleared all the debt. If it were me, I would never do that. I would give him a promise first but not the money. That way I could get revenge without spending a single cent, compared with endless misfortune. A brief moment of hope hurts even more. More than half a year passed. Hyun-woo would sometimes take Eun-jae to banquets. Because of that, she met quite a few rich people, but she did not like the way those people acted. They were full of empty words and big talk, looking bright and polished on the outside, but inside they were full of fake feelings. Hyun-woo taught her one truth: businessmen are actually not that different from con artists. The only real difference between them is businessmen will eventually cover up the lies they tell. One day after a banquet ended, Eun-jae said she wanted to get out and walk for a while. Hyun-woo walked with her until they reached a bridge. The night wind brushed across the lake. After hearing so many of Hyun-woo's stories, Eun-jae talked about her own story for the first time. From her poor family to Samul department store, she spoke about those days when people looked down on her and she had to watch every face carefully. After living together with Hyun-woo, she suddenly came to understand that wealth is not just a condition. "I am going to call an ambulance, so hang on a little longer. You asked me before if I regretted it. I do not regret it. I really want to keep living as Kim Eun-jae." When Eun-jae woke up again, 2 days had already passed. Hyun-woo suddenly changed completely. He decided not to go through with the kidney transplant anymore. He even rewrote his will. After he died, all the property under his name would be inherited by Kim Eun-jae. Another half-year passed. Hyun-woo's condition kept getting worse. He had already reached the end of his life. Seeing that the boss was about to die, all his men rushed to the hospital to see him off. Eun-jae left the hospital room and went home to get a few things. By pure chance, a department manager discovered that he had actually seen the boss's wife before. The day before the surgery, I found out Eun-jae's real identity. She became a hostess because of loan shark debt. The creditor behind her was the one company I was running. About 2 years ago, a woman borrowed money from Only Capital. We went to that mall to collect the debt. That woman later disappeared and it turns out she was here. What his subordinate said hit Hyun-woo like a bomb. He suddenly understood that woman was never some kind of savior. She had come to take revenge on him. After learning the truth, Hyun-woo was completely furious. Jae-hui had no chance to run. Hyun-woo's men poured gasoline all over her, with just one order. She would be burned to ashes at once. But no one expected that Hyun-woo stayed silent on the phone for a long time. In the end, he actually ordered them to let Jae-hui go. People always say a dying man's words are kind. At that moment, I felt all of this was my punishment. That one sentence completely broke Jae-hui's heart. When Hyun-woo woke up again, the transplant surgery was already over. He found that he was still alive. Moo Kyung could not help asking, "Did she really give you her kidney?" Hyun-woo handed over his surgery records. Even now, he still could not understand why that woman would do something like this. Moo Kyung looked at the surgery records. He was sure the dead woman's kidneys were untouched, which meant the one who died was not Jae-hui. Then who was she, and who was the dead man in the lake? With all of these questions in mind, Moo Kyung quickly called a press conference and publicly revealed the real name of the fraud suspect Mok Jae-hui, while also issuing a nationwide warrant. At the same time, a luxury car stopped at the entrance of the Seoul police station. a woman walked into the station. Soon, Ah Hyun got a call from a coworker. The Mok Ga Hui they had just put on the wanted list had actually turned herself in. Sorry, we withdraw the wanted notice. After the investigation results come out, we will report it publicly. Kim Sara turned herself in. The more they investigated, the more confusing it became. Moo Kyung had a very bad feeling. Since Mok Ga Hui dared to come, she must have made full preparations. It turned out exactly as he expected. During the interrogation, the woman said her name was Kim Sara. Moo Kyung immediately interrupted. He had already checked. Kim Sara did not exist at all. So let's talk first about Mok Ga Hui's fraud case. Sara calmly responded. Who is Mok Ga Hui? Never heard of her. Moo Kyung presented the evidence. Even before the brand boudoir was created, Mok Ga Hui had already mentioned boudoir on her social media. If you are not Mok Ga Hui, how could you know about a brand before it even existed? Sara did not answer. Instead she began telling her own story. This world is both cold and kind. While some people enjoy luxury parties, others are freezing to death. 2 years ago when she was still working at the nightclub, a senior told her this job depends on youth. So she should plan for her future early. Sara had not ignored this problem, but she had no advantage in education or family background, so getting out of that life was very difficult. The senior said it was simple. Just catch a rich fool. If he wants to marry you, he will definitely find a way to give you a new identity. Sara did not have much hope at first, but Hyunwoo's appearance let her live the life she always dreamed of. At one gathering, an older woman took her to a nightclub. There she met Jihan. As Sara was talking, Moo Kyung suddenly interrupted. Based on your statement just now, you admits pretending to be a Korean American and faking a high-level education. Sara admitted it directly. Bragging online and pretending to be someone is not illegal. Many people online say they are famous actors. If you want to arrest someone, you should arrest them first. Moo Kyung immediately argued back. You used someone else's identity to gain benefits. That is fraud. Sara quoted something Hyunwoo once told her to argue back. A businessman and a scammer are not that different. The only difference is a businessman will eventually cover up the lies. Ah Hyun walked into the interrogation room, holding a product evaluation report of boudoir, a bag that costs 180,000. You sold it for 100 million. How do you cover up that kind of lie? Sara suddenly laughed. Boudoir is a top luxury brand. What it sells is not the product value but a sense of superiority. It helps you lower social costs and quickly connect with people of the same class, giving you vanity and a sense of achievement. How do you measure the value of those things? Ah Hyun was left speechless. Moo Kyung took out a report and said those bags were made in slums, but you forged import and export records, claiming they were all imported goods. You cannot deny this one, right? Sara immediately shook her head. All boudoir bags after being made are sent to the UK where they are assembled by workers there, then shipped back to the country. All those reports are real. If you do not believe it, you can check. After she said this, the interrogation room suddenly went quiet. About half a minute later, Moo Kyung brought up boudoir's slogan. For 100 years only custom made for European royalty, sold only to the top 0.1%, that counts as false advertising, right? Sara immediately argued back. A certain car brand says when you sit in their car, it is so quiet you can only hear a clock ticking. Is that really true? It is just a marketing method. Every brand builds its reputation this way. Details build credibility. Credibility builds trust. When trust reaches its peak, a brand becomes a belief. This is the true nature of money. Why does gold have value? Is it because of rarity? If we talk about rarity, it cannot compare to other rarer elements. Gold is valuable because of its shared value across cultures. As long as all humans believe it has value, then it has value. Besides, no one is suing her for fraud right now and most likely no one will in the future, because those who already bought gold only want it to become more valuable. This is human nature. If I am a scammer then they are all. Since they are not scammers, then I am not a scammer either. I will protect boudoir at any cost. First round, Moo Kyung lost completely. The team leader was a bit angry. The press conference was already causing a stir. If this keeps going, this case will be hard to wrap up. Moo Kyung suddenly thought of a risky move. Yeo Jin had invested 15 billion into boudoir using company funds. She was arrested just yesterday. Moo Kyung brought the two enemies together for interrogation. As long as Yeo Jin agreed to be a witness, they could at least confirm Kim Sara's fraud. So he asked a leading question. Do you want to press charges? After a cold snort, Yeo Jin said she had mistaken the person. The room fell silent. The team leader was the first to react. The money Yeo Jin invested was now making profit. If she tried to bring down boudoir, the company's losses could not be recovered. In that case, Yeo Jin would end up even worse, so she would never sue Kim Sara. The second round ended. Moo Kyung lost again. Kim Sara walked out of the police station confidently. The heavy snow outside had just stopped. She looked at the familiar scene and remembered Christmas 5 years ago. Back then she was dealing second-hand luxury goods. Because she could not repay the loan shark debt, she took all the buyers' money and went to March Mall to spend it wildly. For the first time, she tasted the feeling of being on top, but a dream is still just a dream. After spending all the money, she took a taxi to a reservoir on the outskirts and posted a message on her social media. "Sorry, your goods cannot be delivered." Right after that, she jumped, falling into the freezing lake. The icy water stabbed into Sarah's body. She instinctively tried to hold onto the bag. The metal charms on the bag scattered apart and formed the name boudoir. It was this name that suddenly woke Sarah up. She desperately swam toward the surface. Luckily she managed to climb onto the shore. After a brief moment to catch her breath, she deleted the post she had just made and wrote a new sentence. "I have acquired a European brand with 100 years of history, boudoir. This world is both cold and kind. On one side people hold luxury parties, while on the other side someone freezes to death." At this point, Moo Kyung suddenly became alert. Something is wrong with that statement. He rushed out of the police station. Sarah had not left yet. Right after that, Moo Kyung charged her with the murder of the unknown woman in the sewer and officially arrested Kim Sarah. Facing the interrogation again, Sarah looked tired. She asked Moo Kyung if he had lost his mind. "This is illegal detention. If he cannot show evidence, she can sue him." Moo Kyung spoke briefly. "You just said during the questioning that someone was holding a party, but the police never revealed that the woman in the sewer froze to death. That means only the killer would know. If you tell the truth now, it will count as turning yourself in and your sentence can be reduced. So what do you think?" Admitting even one of them still counts as a confession, no matter if it was intentional or not. It is still killing. The police morale instantly rose. The third round started off strong. Sarah lit a cigarette. Moo Kyung stood quietly beside her, waiting for her to tell the truth of her past. But after waiting for a long time, Sarah suddenly spoke in an extremely calm tone. "Within 48 hours after a suspect is arrested, if the police fail to obtain decisive evidence, they must release the suspect immediately. Counting from now, there are still 47 hours left. Officer Park, please do your best." Moo Kyung was so angry he laughed. He tried asking Sarah, "Do you dare to do a DNA test?" Moo Kyung thought Sarah would refuse, but to his surprise, she agreed. Time slowly passed. Early the next morning, the test results came out. Sarah's DNA did not match the one at the scene. Moo Kyung had already expected this result, because when he questioned Sarah yesterday, that woman smiled. Ah Hyun could hardly believe it. Because there was no record of this woman in the database, in this day and age, there was still someone with no identity. Moo Kyung went to the interrogation room again, but the team leader stopped him at the door. Moo Kyung asked, "What do you mean?" The team leader said there are less than 30 hours left. If Kim Sarah is released, everyone will be in trouble. Maybe you should just drop this case. You are ruining everything with your stubborn decisions. You are so desperate for a promotion that you detained a suspect without evidence. You do not even care about your colleague's future. The two of them started arguing right away. Moo Kyung was pushed out of the police station. Facing the new detective, Sarah remained completely silent. She only agreed to talk with Moo Kyung. Even though Moo Kyung did not understand why, he was still called back. The interrogation started as usual. The first question he asked was, "Where were you on the day of the crime?" Sarah's answer was simple. That day was Boudoir's new product launch event. She was there receiving guests. After the event ended, she went to March Mall, because Boudoir's second store was being renovated there. Moo Kyung suddenly remembered the time he met March Mall owner Cha Hae-sung. She clearly said that Boudoir had failed the qualification review, so how could they be renovating a second store in March Mall? This was obviously wrong. He immediately went to find Cha Hae-sung, but when he arrived, they were holding an investment meeting. Many important officials were present, looking at the situation. Even the chief would not be able to get in, let alone a small detective like him. Ah Hyun came back after asking around and said, "This is really strange." What Sarah said was actually true. March Mall really was renovating a boudoir store, but not long after the case happened, that store was torn down halfway through construction. Something must have happened. Moo Kyung became anxious after hearing this. He wanted to find Cha Hae-sung but he could not get in. Ah Hyun said, "You want to go inside? That is easy. My dad is a congressman. I will take you in. I need to discuss evidence about a murder case. It is not appropriate to talk about it here. Do you want to keep going?" Seeing she could not avoid it, Cha Hae-sung simply moved to another place. Moo Kyung's questions were direct and sharp. The unknown female body case happened on the luxury street. There were dozens of cameras on that street, yet none of them captured the killer, so the body could only have been dumped from the sewer of March Mall. But you said you did not see anything, which clearly means you were lying. Or did Kim Sarah catch something on you? Cha Hae-sung suddenly shouted in anger. That woman dragged a body out from my mall. If that footage got out, it would be a disaster. Moo Kyung froze for a moment. So you are admitting it? Cha Hae-sung nodded. So what if I admit it? You still have no evidence. Moo Kyung immediately took out his recording phone and asked, "What if I do?" What he did not expect was she also took out her recording phone and said, "Recordings like that will not be accepted by the court." After saying that, she picked up her phone and threw it into a vase filled with water. Moo Kyung instantly understood. He threw away his own phone and said, "Let us talk about this properly. Finding the truth is also good for your mall." Cha Hae-sung took a deep breath and said, "The rise of Boudoir was actually a revenge plan against her. 1 year ago, Sarah came with Boudoir's proposal, hoping to enter March Mall. the manager who received her looked at the file and told her to wait in the lobby, saying Director Boksun would arrive soon. Sarah waited and waited. She waited until it got dark, but no one came. She asked a staff member, only then found out there was no such person named Boksun. When she turned her head again, she saw a small porridge restaurant called Boksun across the street. Only then did Sarah realize she had been set up. She thought about it for a very long time and finally sent a message to Jihan, asking Jihan to get close to Cha Haesung. Jihan immediately threw himself into the plan. He quickly found out some information that Cha Haesung was very suspicious by nature. She often used her phone to record and test people around her. Soon Sarah came up with a clever plan. She lured Cha Haesung to visit boudoir and deliberately created a chance. Looks like these rich elites are nothing special. Drinking all day and even throwing up everywhere. Please watch your words. Just because you sell luxury goods does not mean you are luxury. As expected, Cha Haesung fell for it. 1 week later, Cha Haesung sent her trusted assistant Hongmi to officially invite boudoir to join. Sarah was originally very happy, but when she saw it was Hongmi who once humiliated her, she immediately put on an arrogant attitude. She first pretended to be in a meeting, making Hongmi wait downstairs for a whole day. Then after taking the invitation, she casually found a fault, saying the 15% commission was too high. She needed to apply to headquarters. Hongmi immediately replied in a mocking tone, saying when she went to Paris Fashion Week last month, she asked several designers and none of them had heard of boudoir. Sarah immediately fired back, that was because the people you met were too low level. They are not qualified to order from boudoir. She refused this invitation and said they could talk another day. Hongmi was very angry and went back to complain to her boss, saying recently Kim Sarah had a bad reputation. I have heard about that too. I also think that woman is not very trustworthy. The way she changed is just too extreme. Lower the commission to 10%. That very night, Cha Haesung went to find Sarah who was drinking at a bar. She brought up the new contract. The commission had already been reduced to 10%. Are you still not satisfied with that? Sarah's answer was direct and simple. There was something she should not really mention, but Cha Haesung was not only a partner, she was also a major client, so she felt it was necessary to say it. After Hongmi delivered the new 10% contract, Future Department Store immediately offered 9. That price was a little too close, which meant around Cha Haesung, there must be someone working for the other side. Cha Haesung's suspicion instantly kicked in. Early the next morning, she fired Hongmi. After Sarah found out, she felt extremely satisfied. Cha Haesung was also a smart person. Sarah had already given a clear number, which showed she still wanted to enter March department store, so she lowered her own commission to 9, even gave boudoir a prime store location. After 5 years, Sarah stepped into this place again. Everything that happened that day came back clearly. 5 years ago while she was on duty and went to the restroom, items in the store were stolen. She was forced to pay 50 million. Now after planning such a big game, she only wanted to become the owner of this place to wash away her past shame. Cha Haesung knew nothing about it. She thought she had defeated Future Department Store and secured the hottest luxury brand. But right at that moment, one of her staff suddenly came over. Something very strange just happened. Someone is causing trouble in the VIP room next door. The staff over there said the person causing trouble is Kim Sarah. Hearing this made Cha Haesung feel a chill down her spine. She looked up and Kim Sarah was looking right at her. Cha Haesung quickly adjusted her expression. She sent her staff away and cautiously asked Sarah, has someone been using your card without permission lately? Should we call the police right away? As soon as she said that, Sarah suddenly stopped in her tracks. She told Cha Haesung do not call the police no matter what, she would handle this matter herself. Cha Haesung smiled and said, the fake has actually already been caught. Let us go take a look together. Sarah grabbed Cha Haesung, her expression full of panic. Mu Kyung's mind went blank. Mok Ga Hui, Kim Un Jae, one Sarah was already enough, and now there was another one. What on earth was going on? Cha Haesung said you really should not doubt it. On the day of boudoir's new product launch, she truly saw two Kim Saras with exactly the same hairstyle and clothes. The surveillance captured the whole attack. The real Kim Sarah was actually already dead. Mu Kyung said that was impossible. Kim Sarah must still be alive. Cha Haesung thought for a moment and asked a deep question. Which Kim Sarah are you talking about? The victim was pretending to be Kim Sarah. There are two Kim Saras. Cha Haesung was the last person to see both Kim Saras. Call the National Forensics Team. Mu Kyung made the call. Although the surveillance video was deleted, the traces of the crime would not disappear. The forensic team examined the first crime scene and found a lot of blood traces on the floor. There was also a very clear knife mark on the wall. They also found a blood-stained dress. Mu Kyung and Ah Hyun used this dress to track down its designer. After looking at the photo, the designer said Sarah was his regular client. He really had made 2 of that exact dress. As for the reason, he was not very sure. As long as the client paid, he just followed the request and made it. Mu Kyung quickly asked, do you still have the needles you used for that dress? The designer searched around and actually found some left. Ah Hyun took those needles and rushed them for testing. A few hours later, the results came out. The DNA was a complete match, but it was not from the living Kim Sarah, it was from the one in the sewer. the current evidence was still not enough to prove that this Kim Sarah was a murder suspect. Moo Kyung glanced at the time. There were only 10 hours left before they had to release her. He had a very bad feeling. This time they might really lose. Do you know what kind of people scammers usually target? Stupid people, people with strong vanity. Not at all. Instead, it is those highly educated professionals, especially those with status who never believe they can be fooled. You should be careful too. I am talking about you. Early the next morning, the team leader rushed into the office and urgently asked if they had found any evidence. Everyone shook their heads, giving a clear no. The team leader snapped in anger, "You all keep messing around with Park Moo Kyung, then get ready to be punished together." After saying that, he turned to look at the interrogation room. The so-called culprit was actually drinking coffee with the suspect. Sarah remained calm as ever, facing Moo Kyung's questioning. She only said one sentence, "There is only one Kim Sarah in this world." Moo Kyung brought up what happened this morning. He found that the victim had taken a taxi. That taxi stopped in a slum area. He led a team there for a raid and discovered a small workshop making bags. What was strange was dozens of workstations, hundreds of tools, yet not a single fingerprint was found. "You really are impressive." Sarah let out a cold laugh after hearing this. Moo Kyung continued, "But he also met an older man there. The man said that workshop had been inspected a few days ago. All the foreign workers inside were sent back." Moo Kyung noticed the inner side of the man's palms had very thick calluses. The man said that was a sign only old tailors had. Moo Kyung thought of the female body in the sewer. That woman also had the same calluses on her hands, which meant she was also a tailor. Sarah asked calmly, "So what?" Moo Kyung decided to take a gamble. He told Kim Sarah, "This evidence is not enough to prove you killed someone, but it is enough to prove boudoir comes from that small workshop. A press conference is already prepared. He will personally reveal this, to see if he can pull boudoir down from its pedestal. If you stop, then I will stop too." Maybe boudoir really could become a real luxury brand as long as you are real, but unfortunately you are fake. So boudoir becomes fake too. Time is running out. The boudoir scandal sparked massive public attention. No one questions a scam before it is exposed. People are blinded by the illusion of limited editions and VIP status. The more you lack something, the more you show it off. Those who copy and pretend to be others are insane. How insecure must someone be to steal another person's life? No matter how hard you try, you are still just a fake. A sudden idea flashed in Sarah's mind. There was still a way out in this game. She told Park Moo Kyung 3 years ago, not long after she left Hyunwoo. She found a small workshop that made fake luxury bags. The place was not big and the equipment was old, but there was one person who caught her attention, Kim Mi-jong. That girl's skills were truly amazing. A bag that looked simple, starting from selecting the leather, the grain had to be even, the fiber density had to be consistent, the cutting error had to be within 0.5 millimeters. The patterns on both sides had to be perfectly symmetrical. Next came the stitching process. Boudoir usually used a standard 6-stitch with an error controlled under half a stitch. The double threads had to be perfectly parallel. The inner lining was fully wrapped with fully reversed hidden stitching. The straps were formed in one piece. Then came the edge sealing process. The thickness of the edges gradually reduced. The sealing had to be smooth and soft. After the fibers were polished flat, it then went through 12 layers of thin coating and polishing. It is made perfectly with no overflow, no cracking and no stickiness. Even the metal parts are crafted with extreme care. Kim Mi-jong seems like she was born for this job. After meeting Kim Mi-jong, Kim Sarah felt like she had found a soulmate. She truly loved luxury goods, or rather she loved art. "I have never seen a bag better than this." From that moment on, the two of them started working together. Sarah handled the brand marketing, Mi-jong controlled the product quality. As time went by, they became closer and closer like real sisters. After the brand started to succeed, Mi-jong made a strange request. She wanted all her dividends in cash, because she had no ID and no bank account. Those words left Sarah stunned for a long time. She could not believe someone was so similar to her. Years later, boudoir became the hottest luxury brand. On the eve of a new product launch, the designer suddenly called, asking Sarah to come try on a dress. But Sarah did not have time that day, so she asked Mi-jong to go in her place. After all, they had similar body shapes. Mi-jong rarely went outside. That was her first time visiting a high-end custom dress shop, but she used Kim Sarah's identity. That dress made her look like a completely different person. Even the designer was amazed, saying Mi-jong should become an actress. Not long after, Sarah gave her a phone and even took her to the library. Mi-jong began to long for the outside world, but there was something she was curious about. Why was Sarah so good to her? When asked about this, Sarah's answer was simple. Every time she looked at Mi-jong, she would think of someone. Moo Kyung interrupted, "Who did you think of?" Sarah did not answer. Not long after that, she started receiving calls again and again, saying her credit card was being used without permission. Before she could find out who it was, another accident happened. Yeo-jin hired Sang-pil to collect the debt. He blocked her, then beat her badly. After she escaped, she was afraid of being caught again, so she did not dare go back to the hotel. At that moment, the only person she could think of was Mi Jong. It was also that night she noticed Mi Jong was wearing the same earrings as her. In that moment, she suddenly understood, the one using her credit card was Mi Jong, this girl was copying her, so she hinted at Mi Jong, these days, fake goods are harder to tell than real ones, you can take this bag. I do not need it anymore. Mi Jong did not understand what she meant. Not only did she not hold back, she became even more reckless, but soon she was caught in the act. After hearing this, Sarah did not call the police, she wanted to give her one more chance, but Mi Jong became even bolder. She went to Boudoir's flagship store for the first time and saw with her own eyes the bags she had made, each one looked like a piece of art. That was the proudest moment of her life, but her good luck ended there. That night, Sarah laid everything out. Their partnership was over. If Mi Jong dared to impersonate her again, she would definitely call the police. Mu Kyung could not help but ask, if she stopped working, how would you deliver the products? Sarah shrugged, luxury goods do not really care about craftsmanship, anyone could make them, but Mi Jong started her revenge. She reported that small workshop, drove away her partners and wiped away all the fingerprints there. On the day of Boudoir's launch event, she wore an identical dress. She wanted to become Kim Sarah. Mu Kyung asked again, and then, Sarah said what else could she do? Of course she killed her. Are you admitting to murder? I killed her. Great. Case closed. Mu Kyung let out a long breath. The pressure tactic really worked. But no one expected the very next second, this woman said something shocking. She killed her to become Kim Sarah. My name is Kim Mi Jong. Did she just say she is Kim Mi Jong? But she clearly is Kim Sarah. I have been using Kim Sarah's name to deceive you. I admit all the crimes. She used the fact that we could not tell them apart. If Kim Sarah became the victim, then the fraud case of Boudoir could not be prosecuted. Mu Kyung stood there silent for a long time. His mind was racing. How could this be? To find the truth, he thought of that kidney transplant. The hospital must have kept biological samples. As long as the results match, it would prove that the woman in front of him is Kim Sarah, the president of Boudoir, the escort who donated a kidney to Hyun Woo, Kim Un Chai, and also Mok Ga Hui, the sales clerk fired from March Mall. But Mi Jong said no need to go through all that, let me finish the last story. Mu Kyung said no, the last story, I will tell it for you. On the day of Boudoir's launch event, heavy snow fell from the sky. Everyone who hated you showed up. Yeojin was the first to show up. She wanted her 15 billion investment back, because the company had already started investigating. You gave her a promise and calmed the conflict. Then came Jihan. Jihan no longer wanted to serve that old woman, he wanted to return to Kim Sarah's side. Sarah did not agree, she still needed information. At that moment, Jihan was very angry. Sarah said something that hurt deeply. If I were not Kim Sarah, would you still feel anything for me? You only want money. Is that not true? The life you have now is already what you wanted. At that moment, Jihan's heart completely died. Sarah did not stop. She returned to the venue and ran into Cha Hae-sung. Choi spoke very directly. She had already known Jihan's identity and also knew Sarah once worked at her mall, meaning Boudoir was not some long-established brand. Before Cha Hae-sung could finish, Sarah quickly said there must be some misunderstanding, but Cha Hae-sung said there is no misunderstanding. Let me tell you something, your Jihan now belongs to me. Let me introduce him again. This is the investment manager of March Mall, Jihan. After his evaluation, Boudoir's brand quality is very average. If you still want to enter the mall, you need to give up 30%. If you do not accept, then the cooperation ends here. After Cha Hae-sung finished speaking, she turned and walked away, leaving Sarah no time to react. Then shouting could be heard outside. Hyo-eun and Dahai were causing chaos at the venue. Sarah rushed over to stop them. Mu Kyung said after Hyo-eun and Dahai left, you ran into Mi Jong again. You originally wanted to drive her away, but Mi Jong started fighting with you. Mi Jong was at a disadvantage. You decided to go all the way and smashed her face, then stuffed her into a suitcase and began planning how to dispose of the body. If this had not happened, you would not have agreed to Cha Hae-sung's deal, but at that time, you had no choice. You could only accept it, agreed to the outrageous 30% cut. After the launch event ended, you borrowed a vehicle from the event company and took the suitcase with Mi Jong's body to March Mall. You were very familiar with that place, dragging the suitcase across the mall and dumped the body into the sewer. Everything looked perfect, but in fact, Mi Jong was not dead at that time, she had only passed out. After she woke up, she had no strength to call for help and could only rely on her will to survive. Crawling toward the light, in that dirty and freezing sewer, Mi Jong wore down her own fingerprints, crawled all the way to the sewer exit, but in the end, she ran out of strength and could not make a sound for help. She froze to death on that Christmas night. Ah Hyun's call came in. Mu Kyung gave Sarah one last warning. This is your final chance to reduce your sentence. If the blood sample from the hospital proves that you are Mok Ga Hui, who donated a kidney to Hyun Woo back then you are a fake Kim Sarah, and Boudoir is also fake, so what will you choose now? I can no longer turn back. What was the result? It looks like someone tampered with it. The tissue sample is gone. Looks like I won. Mi Jong began telling her story. On the day of the launch event, Sarah was the one who started the conflict. She only wore the exact same outfit as Sarah and went there to enjoy the glory that belonged to her. After all, every custom piece of boudoir was made by her. She had also given everything to this brand, but Kim Sarah said none of this has anything to do with you. Mi Jong could accept any insult, but she could not accept those words that she meant nothing, because without her craftsmanship, how could boudoir become so popular? Sarah did not bother to argue. Luxury brands become popular have nothing to do with craftsmanship. Mi Jong did not agree with this. She returned the same word Sarah once used to mock her. If real and fake are hard to tell, how can you call it fake? Looking at the blood on the ground, Mi Jong suddenly realized she had killed someone. Her first reaction was to run away, then she took the elevator back to the launch event. Mu Kyung shouted angrily, "You are still pretending." The team leader urgently stopped the interrogation, because the detention time without evidence had already reached the limit. He pulled Mu Kyung into the office. Now there were only two choices left. One was to apply for an arrest under Mi Jong's name, the other was to hold a press conference, lower their heads and apologize, prepare to accept punishment. Mu Kyung hesitated for a long time. In the end, he typed 3 words on the arrest application and pressed submit. The sewer body case was finally closed. Mi Jong was sentenced to 10 years in prison in the first trial. She admitted guilt and accepted the sentence. Mu Kyung was rewarded for solving the case. He received an award and a promotion. It seemed like he became the winner of this game. More than a month passed. He went to the prison to visit Sarah. Now that everything was over, Mu Kyung still wanted to ask one last question. What is your real name?